Hello everyone, and welcome back to Star Trek Honasto, a Klingon game of Star Trek adventures using a bit of a hybrid between the first and second edition rules. My name is ELH the Game Master, and joining me are four lovely individuals who will meet right away. Starting with Steadfast Pigs. Steadfast, how you doing and who you playing?
I am doing well. I'm very excited to be back. I am playing Brigadier General Arkrak, just an old, grizzled Klingon warrior that likes to stab things, handle a lot of the security stuff. So I'm sure my bat'leth will be blooded today.
Oh, most definitely. Most
Yeah.
definitely. All right, Kern, what do you got going on?
I'm a Kern. I played Captain Dagon, who's the fleet engineer, and somehow I think I'm going to be breaking down things rather than building them up today.
Donut, what do you got going on?
I'm Donna. I'm playing Captain Hanas, and I'm here for all things medical. But in this case, I think we're gonna see what direction medical is going.
You're going surgical today.
Yeah, I
exactly.
think we're definitely. I think we're not doing patching up colds and sniffles today.
They might get a quick autopsy here. You never know.
Oh
New
goodness!
definition to the term surgical strike.
Out there. Oh dang it! I should have. I'm gonna
Nice.
save that for next time.
All right, and last but not least, Mon, what do you got going on?
Guten Abend, Manjaden here, playing Colonel Maury, the fleet's legal expert and diplomatic adjutant, who is really doubting whether or not learning from the Federation was even worth doing, given the diplomatic incident that's about to spill a few gallons of uncertain blood.
All right, love it. Let's run that intro and then we'll get started. And welcome back. So since it has been a hot minute since we played last, I'm going to give you all the rundown of what's going on. So the players, the group of Klingons, are of course in the Segue galaxy. They are exploring, and in their exploration discovered that there was a strange subspace signal coming from the Narrative system nearby, the Drin homeworld. They went to go check it out, and they discovered that there was a sort of what I'm calling a bubble ship, where it was producing an anomaly that was allowing alien vessels to almost instantaneously appear as if they had appeared through a transwarp conduit. Now, the good news is that no Borg are actually involved, but as the players found out, the Zidrak, the aliens as they call themselves, are very much almost like some cross between like Lovecraftian and biblical angel and humanoid, and they've got a lot. They got a lot going on, and it is something where the players had spent a lot of time, because I went and rewatched the VOD. You all spent a lot of time deciding, okay, how do we deal with these aliens? Do we say hello? Do we blow them up? And you took the high road and you said, okay, hi, we're going to show up and say hi. And you did. And the Zidrak were like, okay, cool. Nice to meet you. This is like our second or third time doing this. Let's go have a feast. And of course, the players are like, okay, yeah, feast sounds good. You traveled to a Class M moon, and you sat down and you started up setting up tables and chairs and preparing the targs for the slaughter. But when the Zidrak arrived, what happened was one of them began to sing a siren song. And everybody else, so just the player characters, just Akrak, Dagon, Kanas, and Mori, everybody else was knocked out to deep slumber as this siren song happened. And one, the Zidrak quote-unquote ambassador, said that now the feast can begin. So that's exactly where we're going to resume. One has just said that line I just said. What would you all like to do?
So these guys, they were talking a lot about how, that is symmetrical. That is not quite symmetrical. Are they coming at us in any demonstrated symmetry, or are they just kind of like going on forward, all scattered?
So one is in the middle, and then there are two to either side.
Okay. They like their symmetry. We're gonna go in. I say we go with asymmetry.
Have they actually made a move first,
warfare. Nice.
or they just said now the feast begins? I just want to see what's going on.
They just said that the feast can begin. They haven't drawn weapons. They haven't made an aggressive
Picked
move.
up anybody. That's it.
Yeah, they're not making oh yeah, this person's asleep, I'm gonna go eat them now, kind of a thing.
So we can.
I haven't done anything aggressive yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll start moving around a bit and be like, "Can you state what it is that you wish to consume, please?"
I'm grabbing my batleth. I'm not taking any chances.
I'm gonna stay Kanas's hand.
Okay, fine.
I'm gonna kind of hold her back.
Fine.
And stare them down.
Kind of like moving around.
Make a show of, I would say, kind of like an intimidation show of
And I'm gonna pull all the diplomatic cards out. The general does ask a valid question. You'll have to understand that in our culture, one does normally not render their dining companions unconscious.
And one replies, "Perhaps there is an issue in translation. When we say feast, we mean an exchange of ideas, and the simplest way to exchange ideas is to induce a trance-like state and create a shared dream space."
Okay.
I glare at Mori. I'm like, you sure is kind of like diplomat here. That is definitely a mistranslation.
That's one of those things where in the future you should definitely try to be more forthright about that.
Phrasing.
Perhaps this is indeed a learning experience for us all. However, our culture and species do not adapt well to learning in an unconscious state. Perhaps there is a middle ground between the ability that you have to teach and exchange ideas while dreaming, and that we have while awake.
One thinks this over, says, "There is one way that could work. When we encountered another alien species, they were unable to enter into the dream state, so we attempted a different method."
Will do share.
What was this other species, and what was this other method?
So they say a name. Again, it does not translate, because again, they sort of speak in Gregorian chants and hymns and the whole 9 yards. But they reach behind them, not fast, just reaches behind them into a pack and pulls out what looks to be this almost like a star, or maybe a sea urchin would be a better way to describe it. So it kind of pulls out this sea urchin and shows it to you all. Now, again, as a reminder, the Zidrak are about 2 times your size, so this sea urchin, probably about the size of one of your fists. It's a big thing.
I'm going to say it right now. We do not do rectal learning.
Wow.
Wow.
Why are the eyeballs looking at me funny? Stop.
I'm about to
My
say,
special zone.
I think they could translate that, Maury.
Right. The Klingon
Wow.
simultaneously
We
cover
could
our
tell
holes.
somebody was on their honeymoon.
Yeah.
We could tell somebody was on their honeymoon.
Okay. All right. Well, I think one just sort of looks at you funny and go, "I do not understand." However, this
That's
creature,
probably for the best.
yeah, this creature is capable of linking minds, at least temporarily. All it requires is shared touch.
Not very invasive then.
Correct.
Excellent.
Are you capable of awakening the rest of our crew so that one of us can undergo this alternative method?
Unfortunately, once the feast has begun, it must be played out to the end. Waking someone early from the feast tends to have negative side effects for those who are not Zidrak.
So what are the individuals experiencing currently?
It is a shared dream space where the dream is created as a amalgamation of every individual's experience.
Captain Honasto, do you have any means of seeing what the current mental state of the unconscious warriors, Targs, and what the Gach are dreaming?
Yeah, can I like whip out the tricorder and see, make sure there's nothing unfound going on?
Sure.
Check the vitals, yeah.
Do android worms dream of electric Gach?
Yeah, exactly.
So what I'm going to say is you have 6 momentum, and they've told you what to look for. So I'm just going to give this to you free, Kanas. You can confirm that every sleeping entity, from the Klingons to the Goth to the Targ, all of them are in deep REM sleep. Now, normally, when someone is in REM sleep, that's actually a good time to wake them up because the brain is on and it's the highest awareness kind of a thing. But as you're looking at the chemical readouts and you're looking at, hey, what sort of chemical imbalances are going on, you realize that what one is telling you is true, that if you were to, try to inject some kind of a compound to wake up someone from this state, it would be the equivalent of giving them not quite a migraine, but also not quite a mental or neural shock. It just would be very unpleasant, is what I'm trying to get at here.
Gotcha.
Now, of course, you do have Gaw you could experiment on, but what am I going to say?
Let's wake up with the Targs and see what happens.
I mean,
Oh, yeah, right.
I mean, the problem is we won't necessarily know if they're experiencing a mental breakdown or just cranky from being woken up.
We'll have some Raktajino beamed down.
All right. Well, it does seem that there is truth in this, that they are not being harmed at the moment. However, do we want to try to wake one of the lesser creatures just to verify?
No need.
I don't think so. I
don't know. Someone's got to go first on this one. It might as well be the actual diplomat. Let's do this. I'll grab the urchin, but get ready to take me out of the dream state if things go south. Somebody's got to go first and test the waters here.
So you're the sacrificial lamb. I like it.
I am a diplomat. We are bridging the gap between our cultures, and it has to be done non-violently, rolling eyes, with great degrees of passive aggression, cursing some superior somewhere.
But counterpoint, does it have to be non-violent? But I guess it's okay. Yeah, I mean, we are Klingons after all.
Yeah, I think that's the best course of action.
I agree. I think all of us going under, not a great idea, just in case something goes wrong. Whoa, if they haven't dealt with our physiology, who knows what'll happen?
Yeah, we'll just keep a watchful eye.
Yeah, but just get ready to go asymmetrical on them. Attack in odd numbers if things go south.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Alrighty.
Fine.
So
I will engage in this dream state, but we will stand by in case there are adverse reactions.
that is acceptable. And one holds out the urchin, and you get the sense that you are meant to just touch the urchin, like you're not supposed to grab it and take it into your own hands. You're supposed to touch it. But what do you actually do?
Gonna turn to the rest of the crew and just give a good firm warrior's nod and say "kapla" and just touch one of the spiky parts.
Okay. For this, I need you to roll me immediately a fitness and a medicine at a difficulty of 2, please.
Okay. Do I get to stay composed by virtue of my composure focus?
I will give it to you.
Okay. Diff 2 focus. Boom.
All right, 2 successes. So, all of you would see Maury's eyes close. You would see them wincing as if in pain, and then they essentially fall asleep standing up. And I.K.S, since you still have your medical tricorder out, you can confirm that Maury is now in something akin to a REM-like state, but it is much more, shall we say, it's safer to wake Maury up than the other Klingons that are definitely asleep, if that makes sense.
And you're saying he's still standing upright, so he
Yeah,
has.
just falling asleep standing up.
All right.
Now, Maury, what you experience is a cascading amount of emotions, visions, etc. I think it's fair for me to say everybody has seen Inception here. Like, if I make an Inception reference, everybody's seen Inception.
Many moons ago, but yes.
Okay. So it's one of those things, Maury, where you sort of touch the urchin, and then the next thing you know, you are in what you always envisioned Stovacor to be. So you're seeing, tables filled with grand feast, tankards of blood wine being passed around, the Klingons celebrating and fighting amongst each other jovially, basically the Valhalla of the Klingons. But also with them are several of the Zidrak. And the Zidrak aren't consuming anything, none of the food, none of the drink, but you do see some of the Zidrak sparring with some of the Klingons. You do see some of the Klingons holding drunken conversation with the Zidrak. And that's just one part of the dream. When you sort of turn, quote-unquote, to the right, you see fields of bloodgrass, and you just see the Targs running around and having a good time and just basically doing Targ things in their environment. And then you turn another 90 degrees, and you see the Goth pits, which are just these roiling, bubbling oozes of just roiling worms from which all Ga arrive from.
And they're not intermingling, right? They're kind of like, here's where the Klingon part starts and ends, the Goth part starts and ends, etc.
There's kind of a fade effect between them, like almost like if you took 2 pictures and did like a 25 or a 35% fade across the edge. That's kind of there, but it's not like a hard delineation.
But there's no Targs that are grabbing tankards of blood wine and headbutting Goth warriors. Gotcha. Okay. All right. I got to stop having Sunshine of Your Love playing in the background because I was thinking this would be even trippier. But okay.
So there should be a disclaimer. No Targ or Gog were injured in the filming of this.
Yeah, there you go.
They'll be harmed later.
What?
What? Do you know what happens when you kill something to eat it?
I was just kidding.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna go like a dream, and if everybody's dreaming, gonna go tankard up a blood wine. Gonna find a warrior who's standing alone, looking joyful, and joyfully headbutt them as we do.
I thought you were gonna start trying to fly or something. That'd be my first thing.
It's a dream, not a fantasy.
Fair.
Fair
Besides,
enough.
I don't think you want to know what a lawyer's dream sequence looks like.
Probably true.
That's an interesting question. So, if I were to spend, say, 2 threat to make your lawyer or your diplomat
Oh god.
nightmare, not dream, nightmare appear, what would that look like?
That's actually, I haven't thought about that. But how much of this do you want to make like about Maury the character, and how much about Maury who happens to be a lawyer slash diplomat?
Losing his first case.
No, I'm thinking worse.
Oh, okay.
It's like the courtroom scenes from Phoenix Wright, where you have to deal with that kind of a lawyer and a judge. If anyone knows what I'm talking about.
I do,
But
yeah.
no. But what do you guys say? Should it be the character's nightmare or the lawyer's nightmare?
Go with your heart.
Flip a coin.
All right, we're gonna do a little bit of both. We're gonna have a extended debriefing scene, and like in any police drama, when so you're interrogating a suspect under one bare floodlight or whatever, there's some blurry faced suspect there, and doing the interrogation is Maury. A little bit, I guess he's like the good cop, but the bad cop is a Romulan in Klingon Defense Force uniforms and emblems and everything. Then we can shift over to the legal part of it, where he's getting disbarred for having dishonored his client in some very Klingon way. And throw in the diplomat angle, ambassador to the Federation.
Okay.
Which is probably not fun for a Klingon. Stuck in San Francisco with amongst all these humans and maybe even Ferengi. We're going from bad shit to unfortunate shit to ennui real quick in one nightmare sequence.
Okay. So you experience that yourself, and when the flash of images and sounds vanishes and you're back in the normal quote-unquote dream state, what you realize is that same Romulan has now appeared and is, moving about the table, as well as some humans and a Ferengi or two.
I'm gonna go tankard up a blood wine and headbutt. I'm gonna go like full on Klingon and headbutt whoever is nearest amongst them.
Okay. So you headbutt one of the Klingons, and the Klingon, headbutts you back because that's how you say hello. And they raise a tank or two and goes, Colonel Maury, I was wondering when you would join us. These Zidrak have an amazing culture that you should really hear about.
I've seen more than enough already, and he's gonna eyeball the Romulans and Ferengi and humans that have intruded into this space and drain about 3/4 of that tankard.
Okay. Well, I do not know why there's a Romulan here in Stovacor, but if they are here, they must have great honor.
I assure you, Beck, that the Romulan you see is about as honorless as they come, and quite possibly no dream, no nightmare. They are what the humans might say, in the least possible honorable way, the worst case scenario.
Then perhaps we should kill them. Can we kill them? We are in Stovacor.
We can kill that one, I'm sure. And I'm going to drain the rest of the tankard, and I don't care how strong this blood wine is. If we kill that one, it would be as if you are striking but one targ from a whole barrel. There will be more wriggling, and they would still need to be swallowed whole in order to be conquered.
Perhaps it is the blood wine, but I only followed about half of that analogy.
If we are lucky, you will never see him. And if we are honorable, we shall see him on the way to Great Thor.
And the Klingon sort of raises his tankard to you and drains it himself, and unless you want to keep him further, sort of stumbles off to go refill his tankard.
I'm gonna, what is it? Yeah, let the man go refill.
Okay.
And I think it's probably time to talk to one of the Zidrak that appears to not be otherwise socially engaged at the moment.
Okay. So let's say that you notice one of the Zidrak is finishing up a conversation. And as a reminder, most of the Zidrak, again, kind of look like this cross between a Lovecraftian and a biblical angel in humanoid form. So lots of eyes, concentric ring jewelry, almond-shaped head with head wings, the whole 9 yards. But the one you approach is actually a very vibrant light blue, which is interesting because you don't recall seeing a light blue Zidrak in the real world, kind of a thing. So when you approach this blue one, they wrap up their conversation, turn to you, and in perfect Klingon, as in not translated, as in perfect Klingon, say to you, "Hail! I see that you are a latecomer to the feast. Welcome. My name is Tu."
Tu. I am Mori, son of Povich, of House Mokgil. Tell me, is Tu a designation, a rank, a given name, a surname?
It is all of these things.
And it is fair then to address you as Tu.
That is correct.
Then Tu, I will ask you first and foremost, how much of this dream will the other dreamers remember?
That depends on their mental fortitude. Some aliens we have encountered remember the entire dream state. Others do not. It depends on how your brains work. But since you are a latecomer, you must have come in via the, and they say a name which actually does not translate into Klingon, but they say you must have touched the creature and entered into the dream state that way.
I don't know why I'm just laughing at the creature. I'm like, hang on a second. Yes, I am a little bit of a latecomer because we almost anticipated your music as a hostile act. Fortunately, our doctor was restrained before any injuries could be sustained. You must understand, a dream state is not our default state, and it is not one that our species and most other co-biology species of ours use to learn anything.
Well, this is how we understand and come to learn alien languages, instead of the technology that you use to translate our speech to yours and vice versa. While in this dream state, I have learned your language, I have learned about your people, and I believe you call them Becks. Your Becks have deliberately not told me anything about your engineering. They said something along the lines of Captain Dagon would have their hides if they told any Klingon secrets.
Nice.
You trained them well.
I did.
They are a credit to the engineering corpus of the Klingon Empire. And indeed, they dream well, as honorable as they wake, and as honorable as they fight. Is that not true? And I'm gonna raise my voice in tankard to the other engineering Klingons, kind of like.
And of course, they're nearby. They raise their tankers, yells "Kapla," the whole 9 yards.
I do not know how ancient your cultural investigations are, too. I do not know how well-formed and how well-organized your exploratory corpus may be. But I would strongly advise one sentient being to another. It's time to learn how to do some of these things awake and conscious, lest you be interpreted as a threat to lesser reasonable species.
Perhaps you are right. From what I have learned of your fellows, we should have warned you better.
This is all part and parcel of the experience. Fortunately for us all, I have at least attempted to learn from our own wakefulness and our contacts with other species, and not interpret being rendered unconscious as a hostile attempt. Do rest assured, there are many like us. Please, understand. Technology can help you. Now, enough of this preamble. Let us speak of our species. Please, tell me, what of the Zidrak can you tell me?
Quite a bit. And as they launch into an explanation, I'm just going to give you the Cliff Notes version rather than sit here and talk for 40 minutes. First thing you learn is that the bubble ship that they use is actually the result of a bit of crash technology that they discovered on their planet about 200 years ago. So they've been out traveling space for about 200 years. This bubble ship is actually how they expand their... They don't call it an empire, they call it an alliance. So they expand their alliance by sending out this bubble ship at as far as it can go. And again, their technology level's NX levels, so they can only go about warp 2, warp 3. So they expand very slowly. But what they do is they send out this bubble ship. It creates a subspace anchor, which then they use with another bit of crash technology to create a gate which is capable of instantaneous transportation, almost similar to what a spore network would be. But the question is, do Klingons know about the spore network? I think they do to some degree, even though that the discovery was, hushed by the Federation. I think you all know about spore technology to some degree.
Right, maybe along the lines of it was thought of, but never really, I guess, explored to the extent that Disco was. And Donut hasn't seen Disco.
I was about to say, can you explain for a friend who is me,
no,
who hasn't seen Discovery yet?
That's my bad. I should have clarified.
Okay,
long story short, it's almost it's a very cool way of traversing space. Is how I would put it.
That's fine. I could get the Reader's Digest version. We're gonna get to it eventually. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Gotcha. That's my bad. But yeah, it's without spoiling anything, it's a very cool way of traversing space, in my opinion.
So you mentioned an alliance. Is this like multiple species or just a lot of different forms of Zidrak?
It is a variety of our own species. From what I have learned, and 2 sort of points at one of the Klingons, and you see it's one of your diplomats. From what that one was telling me, you have a species known as the Zindi in your galaxy. We are very much the same, where the Zidrak are actually an amalgamation of 4 species.
Fun.
So you have not. So you are still essentially in the cradle of exploration. Your alliance seems like it could use more allies.
Well, if we have not disturbed you and we have not soured our budding relationship, I believe that would be a prudent gesture. We would be happy to ally ourselves with the Klingon Empire. However, there is a problem.
Other than the obvious, let's hear it.
And what happens is 2 sort of points past you and you turn around and look. And it's weird because, I already said that there were 3 areas before. And, the Targ pits, the Gok pits, the Stova core. But now, as if it's always been there, is a 4th area. And for this 4th area, I'd like you to imagine it is the heaviest rain, the heaviest thunderstorm, lightning, hail, the whole 9 yards. And you see that there's a battle taking place. And what you realize is you are looking at one of Kahless's famous battles, where Kahless was battling the Herc or was fighting, rival factions. And you see that the figure that represents Kahless, who's sort of robed in white, is actually not faring very well. And what 2 says is, unfortunately, because we brought you into the dream state so suddenly, I cannot end the dream state as I usually can. Until that is handled, pointing at the fighting going on, until that has been quelled, I cannot wake everyone from the state. However, you, who came in via a different method, could return and acquire allies to bring into this dream.
I see in this dream state 10, 15 Klingon warriors. They could turn the tide of any battle in which they descend, the dream world or the real one.
And you see 2 hesitate, like their multiple eyes sort of narrow a little bit and their little head wings flap, and they say, "Perhaps I have not been clear, and for which I will apologize. those already in the dream state, motioning at everybody else, if they were to be injured or die, they would suffer those same injuries or fate in the real world. Only you, who have come here via a different method, could survive any injuries or any expiration.
That is of no concern to any of the warriors here in this dream. I assure you, too, to die in battle is the greatest honor for a Klingon, but to die at the side of I.K.S is the greatest possibility of any honor we could conceive. Even if someone was to emerge from a dream missing a limb, they would surely shed that limb joyfully in the real world, as they would their lives, as I would my own.
Okay. So, if I understand where you're going with this, you're going to rally some Klingons and send them over, yeah?
How big is that other dream battle?
Oh, it's pretty dang big. You probably would have to send over like 20 or 30 Klingons over to help Kayles.
And there's how many in here exactly? 5, 10?
There are... We didn't actually set a number, but let's just say that there's like 40 Klingons in the dream right now.
Oh, hell, we could do that. Come on. Unless there's going to be some real plot, like GM level, no offense, jerking around, I think that we could do this.
I think you just ask for a Q complication to be thrown.
That sounds like a Q complication.
That sounds like that you're just begging chat to throw some stuff at you.
I haven't seen anything from chat yet. You know what? Hey, chat.
Give a second.
You feel lucky? You got the points? Come on. I don't think you got the guts to throw 1,000 points at this.
Yeah, there we go. Exactly. This is a Klingon game now, baby.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I've read enough books that you basically were just asking for trouble. This is...
You just said that it would take...
There you go.
There you go.
There
All right.
it is.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, chat. Double or nothing. I don't think you got the funds. I don't think you have the cojones. Nor do I think you have the finances. No.
It's actually on a cooldown, so they can't redeem it back to back.
No, chat can't do 2Q. All right. Anyway,
so here's the complication as you rally some Klingon warriors and send them over to Kayles. Because remember,
no, I'm joining them. I'm leading them. Are you kidding? We're going
even
into
better.
This. I'm not gonna.
Even better.
Yeah.
So here's what's going to happen for everybody else outside of the dream state. So Akrok, Dagon, and Kanas. You see Mori touch the sea urchin. Their eyes close. They fall asleep standing up. You hear them mumbling under their breath. You can't quite make out what they're saying. But then all of a sudden, as this chat complication makes it so I don't actually have to spend threat, what happens is these small wounds begin to appear on Mori's skin, like small lacerations from bladed weapons, maybe a burn here and there. And then you also notice that some of your fellow Klingons who are asleep, some of them are getting greater injuries. In fact, there's one Beck in particular whose arm literally falls off.
Ooh. Somebody's having fun.
Yeah. Now, my question, as all of this is inexplicably and medically, like, you have no idea how this is happening, what is your reaction to this? Because, again, you don't know what's going on in the dream. You don't know that this is on the level right now. So
all right,
what
well,
is
I'm
it?
instantly going to the person whose arm fell off.
Okay.
I'll go up to
and
one.
That stuff. Watching my language for the...
You're good.
PG-13.
Monetize this.
All right, we're going to scan and see what goes on. Like, hey, battles... I'm here for it. Yo, I got like field medicine and all that stuff. Let's do this.
Okay, let's make it a roll. If you can give me a reason and a medicine at a difficulty of 4. Actually, let me check your field medicine, because I think this actually would apply, maybe bringing it down to a 3. It's been a hot minute. Let me just confirm. Yep, so it actually would bring it down to a difficulty of 3. And yeah, that's all the talents you have that would apply.
Well, I have the focus emergency medicine. Would that?
It would definitely count. Yeah.
That definitely counts there. Yeah. Okay. So let me perform task.
How many additional die do you want to roll?
What are we at? 6 momentum. Give me. I could take another. What do you say? Like 1 or 2? Let's do at least one more additional one.
Okay, it would be 1 momentum for 1 die. It would be 3 momentum for 4 dice total. But remember, you also have bold medicine, which means if you buy dice with threat, you get to re-roll if need be.
Do it.
All right, yeah, let's do it. Let's go full Klingon. Okay,
Get
so
the bread.
all right,
Just slam that arm back on.
just slam it together. Okay, so
So what are you doing? 1 threat or
Yeah, let's
3
take-
threat or one threat and 2
well, I don't want to go
momentum,
too. Yeah, let's do a threat. Let's do a moment. What is that math up to?
So it's either 1 threat and 2 momentum, or it's 2 threat and 1 momentum.
Let's do 1 threat, 2 momentum.
Okay.
So that will get me up to 4 die, right?
Correct.
If I'm doing
Right.
that math right. And I'm using a focus.
Correct.
I don't change the complication range. That's on you. I always forget that part.
Correct.
All right, so I'm gonna go for it.
All right. There's 4 successes, meaning you get 1 momentum back, bringing you back up to 5.
All right.
So, I.K.S, it's the strangest thing where you pick up the arm, you scan where the wound was, you scan the shoulder of the Klingon, and the wound has already staunched itself. Like, this is a very clean amputation. And you're looking at the limb, you're looking at the wound, and if your tricorder is correct, there was a very clean, without getting into the details, the gory details, something very cleanly separated the limb, and at the same time made it so that the limb instantly, what's the word I want to use? You couldn't reattach it. Yeah, so you can't reattach it here. Like, it's one of those things where, at least in real life, if you lose an arm and you get it to a doctor quick enough, they can reattach the arm. This is one of those situations where even with your medicine, your skill, your tools, your technology, this arm cannot be reattached.
All right.
But they're not going to be bleeding out, so you can still do you can still fight with 1 arm. I can think of worse.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go up to 1.
Okay.
Because that was the one that was still interacting with us. And I'm like, explain what is happening to them? Why are they're undergoing injuries? What, you're capable of interacting with those that are in your dreamscape?
If I had to guess, my counterpart 2 has exposed the turmoil in the dream. Until that turmoil is quelled, no one can awake from the dream except your friend, Colonel Mori.
They are fighting a battle then in this dream space, but what happens there injures them, yes?
Correct.
Are they losing?
That depends on your definition of losing.
Lost an arm.
Gaining honor.
Can other people go in?
Yes, you need nearly touch the creature.
Okay, I'm going in!
I don't know why it's so funny now.
Dagon has joined the lobby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'll go in.
What?
Oh, sorry, a crack has joined the lobby.
I wonder, is there any way for us to assist the individuals that are in this dreamscape from this side?
Unfortunately, no. Our dream state is very volatile, and I'm sure 2 could explain it better than I could. But long story short, until the turmoil is quelled, the only ones that can wake from the dream are those that go in via the creature.
The creature.
Gotcha. But if you pump someone full of stimulants when they're sleeping, will they be equally pumped up full of stimulants in the dreamscape?
I am unsure.
Start intravenusing the Raktajino and let's find out.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, if there's fighting to be done, I'll go and participate. Peace out, fam. I'll go.
Wow.
I'll go.
Wow.
I was going to say, I think it seems like I'm going to be more helpful patching people up in the dream
probably.
world Would I still have my like
jump on in. The
equipment
dream is fine.
in the dream? Like, would I still have a tricorder?
Oh yeah, it's one of those things where when you're in the dream state, I maybe didn't describe it well enough, it is like Inception. You just have to think and dream what you want to bring with you.
Oh, heck yeah.
Wait, hold up. I got an idea.
Oh, no.
Yeah, wait a minute. We're on the same.
We have a battleship in orbit.
I'm thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Dream in some air cover. Why not? Let's get everybody in on this one.
If we believe hard enough. Yeah.
We'll do to Mora. Oh God, what's the time? We'll do to Molor what freaking Vietnam did to America and just blow them right the hell out of this land gap. It's gonna be amazing.
I'm going in.
All right, so Croc's going in. Knas, are you staying out or going in?
I think it makes more sense because I could patch people up in the dream, but out of the dream, what's done is kind of done, right? That was kind of the vibe I'm getting. Like,
Correct.
Right, so I should go in.
Okay.
Dream
Which
up a
now
surgical team. Why
leaves-
not?
Which now leaves
Dagon.
Dagon. Is Dagon going in or staying out?
I should stay out.
Okay.
Somebody's got to keep a, how would I say, a rational head.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going
All
to
right.
babysit.
Hey, someone's got to do it.
Mhm.
All right. So, a Croc and Knas, you touch the creature, and you are instantaneously dropped into the dream state. And again, you see 4 areas. You see Stovacor, you see Targ fields, you see Goth pits, and then you see a famous battle of I.K.S. And you look over, and between the Klingons that are fighting and maybe a few Herc, you see Mori and his singing lawyers are carving up the battlefield and all joyous and stuff. In fact, one of the Klingons, the very same Klingon who lost their arm, he's actually using his arm as a bludgeoning weapon and just beating other Klingons over the head with it.
Oh yeah. Good man.
Nice.
But the only ones that are not joining in this fight at this point are the Zidrak. And again, you see that there is a very light blue Zidrak that is at the table of Stovacor at the moment.
General! What a good time to have shown up. Send that... Here, give 2 a dagger. Let's bring them in. Die, you evil... You honorless dogs! Scum of Mor! And I'm just, like, cheering at people in. Let's do this.
All right. I was a little confused, but okay.
I love it.
All right. So we're going to handle
And
this...
kill that And someone cut the throat of that Romulan Batak while you're here.
Oh, yeah, that guy's still somewhere, I guess.
Love it. So we're going to handle this in a narrative fashion because as fun as it might be to sit here and roll dice as we literally go through 80 different NPCs, that would take a long time.
Yeah.
So we're going to handle it
certainly
in
would, yeah.
a narrative fashion. So here's what I have in mind, and feel free to propose other things, but here's what I have in mind. For a Croc, I imagine that you are either in the thick of the fray, and that would be a daring security using your melee weapon. If you wanted to call in fire support from the Dream Mangholm, that would be probably a presence command. And there, if you wanted to bring in a disruptor, it would be control security, etc., etc. For Knas, in order to perform field medicine, again, you can dream up whatever compounds, whatever technology you need. This would probably be a daring medicine. If you wanted to rally the injured into fighting harder, that would be a presence medicine. So that's what you could do. But again, if you have other ideas, feel free. And then Mori, same thing. You could either do the same thing that a Croc is doing, or you could attempt to inspire the Klingons around you with a presence command.
Can we get somebody to like dream up their like Knas totally has to have like dreamboat medic thing, like I don't know, shirtless Bashir or something coming in and medicing.
Whoa.
We should totally make that happen. Just thought.
Would that encourage them? Could it be 2 for 1? If like, can you dream up other people, right? Like I know you said we could dream up like things, but could I like dream up additional Klingons?
It depends on what sort of connection you have to these individuals. So, for example, I'm trying to find in my notes. What is the name of your underling that we did? Where is
Oh
your
gosh, I know who
Nerd.
you're talking
Nerd.
about. I know who you're
Oh,
talking about, but
the one
Nurse.
who, yeah,
the competent underling I had. I think that was like literally the phrase.
Right,
the one who
yeah,
dared-
because that's how I have them in my notes, but I didn't write their name. Let's consult the notes in Foundry.
Yeah.
And if anybody finds the name, or if Chad, if you remember the name, please do speak up.
I'm going back. I'm looking.
Yeah, it's one of those
I'm
things where
trying
I
to do
think.
a search.
it's like greatest hits edition.
Let me see. Yeah, I can't find their name in my notes right now. So until we figure out what their name is, why don't we just call them? Let's call them Var, son
I've got
of. What
I
was
got a
their
name
last
of Ganum Jaka, or is that somebody else?
I mean that sounds
Jaka
like a
is the
valid name to
captain.
me. How do you spell it?
Actually, it's the captain. It's the captain of the I.K.S. Vishtarg. So
Oh,
Mhm.
never mind.
Well, I'm going to put whatever we decide on, I'm going to put their name under my character sheet as competent underling, so then we won't have this problem again with trying to
how do you
search
say
for it.
how do you say placeholder in Klingon?
Right.
That's a good question. Oh, you know what? We can just make it a joke. Var, son of Ariable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I'll just put it in chat.
Beautiful.
Var, son of Ariable. There you go.
Yes.
But yeah, you are able to bring in someone like Var because you work with them intimately and you know them very well. And
I think being able to divide and conquer would be helpful for like a field sort of a field endeavor.
Mhm. Okay.
And of course, I'm thinking up the fancy tricorders and trying to think what other things. Yeah, like specifically like any sort of like battle medicine, like, you know, how do we patch up like, you know, like the cauterization so you're not bleeding out, you know, get them patched up and get them back on the field.
Yeah.
Is going to be the priority.
Okay. So, why don't you give me a presence and a command? Actually, let me ask this. Would you all prefer to do this as an extended task, or would you prefer to do it sort of individually? And the reason I ask that is because I kind of want to try out the second edition rules for extended task.
I'm down with that.
I'm here for a guinea pig.
I mean, wait, I haven't even read the second edition rules. I don't know if
Trial
you all
by
want,
fire.
but, yeah, sure.
Trial by fire. All right, let's do it. So, what the difference is in second edition when it comes to extended tasks is it is far less, shall we say, rolling dice for the sake of rolling dice. It is something where you kind of, how do I want to say this? You still have things like you are still having a difficulty. There are still resistance that take away from your work. But what matters here is you now have impacts. And what an impact is, you're like, well, what does that mean? So before, in an extended task in first edition, the magic number was 5. If you did 5 or more work, you achieved a breakthrough. Now it's one of the situations where there are basically breakthroughs automatically on the track, but it's not now at 5. It's now halfway through the track and halfway through the halfway, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But the reason why I want to try this is because supposedly it is far more, what's the word I want to use? It's more intuitive than the old rules, if that makes any sense. So let's try it out. And we'll start with Honasto. So, Honasto, if you could give me a presence and a command. And the difficulty here would start at a 3.
All right. And I'm rolling specifically like for, I guess want to make sure like I'm rolling specifically because I want to see if any of my talents or focuses would apply. This is to was this to actually do the manifestation of my underling or just to perform the field medicine patching up? Okay. So in which case I'd like to use the we have the field medicine talent, and I guess emergency medicine also applies. It is still the focus. All right. So let's try that. So that gives me using a focus.
Okay. So unfortunately, that is only one success. You needed 2 thanks to field medicine. So what I can say is I will offer you a success with a complication.
All right, sure. We're go big or go home, and right now we must go big.
Okay. So, the good news, you do manifest Var, son of Variable. The bad news is you manifest them as a Romulan.
Oh.
And somebody has just said, kill that Romulan.
Yeah.
No, well, no, I said kill. I guess it was kill Romulan wherever. You know what? Kill the Romulan.
So bad news is another nurse bites the dust.
Bad news. Can I? Yeah, like, can he do something super honorable real fast? Like,
Sure, what do you want him to do?
I want him to just like, I'll throw him a batleth and just have him dive in to be like, prove he is not, coward scum.
On the other hand,
Yeah, but you're right.
any Romulan that's trying to infiltrate themselves and ingratiate would do just that.
Oh gosh.
What are the odds of a Romulan doing something honorable though too?
Yeah, I'm about to say they're going to be doing
Does
the
it
back
further
alley
their
stuff.
cause?
They're not diving into battle head first. They're going to.
Does he still have the mindset of the Klingon variant?
Right.
Or,
He would still have to be if he's just a Klingon in a Romulan body. I feel like the honor will pass through, and anybody, as I said, give him the chance to start, taking names and throwing down. They'll prove that's not a weenie in there.
For a party of players, slamming on all my scheming many sessions ago about that sounds really Romulan, y'all are really quick to embrace this actual friggin' Romulan. I'm just saying, there's some logical inconsistency here.
No, but I know, as the person who manifested, that just something went awry. So I know that I tried to manifest a Klingon and a Romulan popped out. Like, so I know that it's not a Romulan. I know it is Var in there.
We know a Romulan has spawned.
But I know it's not just a Romulan. That's the point I think we're getting at.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to throw him a batleth and be like, prove your stuff. Prove your honor.
Kapla! And he dives in and he starts providing surgical strikes, as they're called.
Nice.
But, so you know what's happening here. So the work tracks, it's very simple. Only a work track of 10. So because your medicine is a 5, you actually instantly score 5 work, which is halfway through the track. So there is now a breakthrough. Now, this breakthrough is a little different from first edition. First edition breakthrough is just kind of, I needed so many breakthroughs to complete the extended task. Now, breakthroughs are a narrative effect on the circumstances. And I guess they kind of were in first edition, but usually people just kind of glossed over it because you were just trying to get a number.
Right.
In second edition, though, what happens is not only does Var, the Romulan, jump in and begin carving a path through these Herc and these rival Klingons, and look, now there's some battle targs, and there's a contingent of other Romulans that are now entering the field, kind of a thing. Right. Not only does Var manage to secure himself some honor, but I.K.S, you're moving between the injured, you're applying hypo sprays, you're applying a little bit of surgical precision yourself, and overall, you are able to create a rallying effect behind the Allied forces. So now the Allies are kind of on a better foot, and it's one of those things where it's not a huge difference. It's like maybe about 60 to 40% in your favor. So it's not tremendously unbalanced, but it still could go either way very quickly.
Cool. Okay.
Hey, I'll take a bonus.
Is surgical precision the name of the Glory Thor's batleth all of a sudden?
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, definitely changed the name of the batleth. It is now known as surgical precision.
Yeah, for sure. You got to carve that in there later on.
Nice. All right, so that is what Honasto is doing. Let's go to a Croc. A Croc, what are you doing?
I think that it would be most beneficial to attempt to summon a dream version of the Manghome to just go brrr, and just kind of glass the enemy combatants.
Now, to be clear, do you want the Manghome or do you want the Klingon equivalent of an A10 Warthog?
Wait. Why not an actual A10?
Right.
It's a dream.
I read old Earth history at some point, I guess.
Yeah, yes, the honorable aircraft, the Warthog.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I guess could I summon myself into the cockpit of like a Klingon ground assault craft?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Oh
commit
hell!
to
I
it.
thought you guys just gotta have them fly around. If you're gonna pilot, give the man a squadron.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, a croc. This is going to be a presence and a con. I
Cool.
am going to set the difficulty at a 4 by spending some threat.
Copy that. Would you accept either helm operation or leadership or battlefield management?
I would give you battlefield management.
Cool, let's do it.
You have 5 momentum right now.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna give you a full boat. I'll do. We want to leave you guys some momentum. I'll do 2. How do I want to do it? We'll split it.
Okay. So are you doing 2 momentum, 1 threat, 3 momentum, and 3 threat? How you doing it?
Yeah, I'm gonna go up to 5 die. So we'll do 3 momentum and 3 threat.
Okay. So you would go down to 2 momentum, and I would get 3 threat. Got it.
Yeah. That way you guys have some momentum in there. All right. Presence con with the focus. Bop, bop, bop.
5 successes. You get your momentum back. And since you once again do 5 work, because 5 is your con score, you complete this extended task.
Nice.
So, a Croc, tell me a little bit about how you wipe up the battlefield with your fighter craft. What does that look like, per se?
Yeah, I think I'll just kind of, for lack of a better term, spawn in and be like, all right, quick little rundown, what's going on, what's happening. They're all locked in melee combat, and I'll just like sit on the ground in the position of being in a fighter craft and be like, fighter craft, and then I'll click my heels together and appear in the craft in the sky, and I'll be like, oh, nice. And then I'll just keep doing some strafing runs on kind of the back end of their assault force. I'll just have a glorious time, just like just doing fantastic little strafing runs.
All right.
And the fighter's name is Dorothy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Why are my slippers red? What's happening?
And why are you wearing slippers on a battlefield?
I didn't imagine this.
So, because I find it absolutely hilarious, so Dagon, back in the real world,
Yes.
Yeah, meanwhile.
This ought to be good.
Dagon, you're watching the others. You see that Kanas is mumbling something. Why are they Romulan? Why are they Romulan? Why are they Romulan? Damn you. You hear a Croc and see a Croc like clicking his boots together and saying, fighter craft, fighter craft, fighter craft. And just like he's clenching up and he's leaning into the turns and like he's acting like he's on a roller coaster kind of a thing.
It's like I'm trying to think of like the Iron Maiden album cover guy, but Klingon brow ridges and shit.
I want to take out my cell phone and start taking pictures.
But one just sort of looks at everybody and goes, I do not know what they are doing.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody's having a lot of fun.
Are you sure you do not wish to join them?
No, I'm good.
All right, very well.
It's your dream.
He needs the blackmail material.
No, this is honorable. This is fine.
So, long story short, the battle is resolved quite well with, shall we say, minimal to moderate injuries. So, maybe a few more Klingons lose a limb or half a limb kind of a thing, but it's an honorable injury.
That's it.
Nice.
But I.K.S is actually going to sort of gather up a Croc, Kanas, and Mori. And I.K.S will nod to each of you in turn and say, without your assistance, this battle could not have been won. And for that, I offer you the greatest honor that I can. And he reaches up, and then he takes his batleth, and he cuts a lock of his hair, and offers a strand to each of you, And as you take this strand, it manifests into a replica of the Sword of I.K.S.
Wow. Epic.
Ugh.
That's fun.
Gonna have to. Yeah. We'll have
Damn.
to. Gonna like raise this up to the sky and do the Klingon. They're all dead, but they're honorable shout. Just like.
Yeah.
And it's at this point that 2 actually comes over from the Stovacore table and says, "With that, I can end this dream state safely." And they clap their hands very forcefully together, and it's like a blowback effect where you feel like you're being thrown through the air by a great force, and everybody wakes up.
Before
from
that happens.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Before that happens,
Yes.
how bad would it be, or how possible would it be for Maury to whip out his Duktog and throw it at the first Romulan? Because I'm happy to kind of go into what that's about in private as to why it might be interesting, but I do want to see that Romulan dead,
Okay, so we'll say
honorably or not.
We'll say that as 2 is coming over and saying all that, you quickly pull out a dagger and just thunk into the Romulan. And Croc and Honasto, you would have seen that. Just Maury just suddenly like dagger, and then Romulan dead.
Yep.
But as 2 slams their hands together and there's that feeling of falling, you wake up. Everybody wakes up. A Croc, Maury, Honasto, you come back quicker because you used the creature. Everybody else at the feast is slowly starting. The gauze starting to wriggle again. The Targs are snorting and waking up. The Klingons are all picking themselves up. And one just says, "Very good. The feast has concluded."
Your feast has but concluded, one. Are you sure that you do not wish to partake of more tangible nutriment?
And it's actually at this point that 2, the blue Zidrak, appears from their little shuttlecraft that they came down on. And they say, 1, I believe that we should enjoy their blood wine. I was able to partake of it in the feast, and it is quite a delectable drink. And, of course, 1 just sort of looks at 2 and goes, "Very well. We shall take of the Klingon food supplements."
I'm gonna bust out the communicator back to the ship. We're going to need some higher proof blood wine in far greater quantities.
All right. So it's at this point that it's kind of an open floor to you all. What kind of questions do you want to ask the Zidrak? What are you doing at the feast? Open floor.
I think a good priority one, we definitely need to ask them about their experience, if at all any, with the Herc in the sector.
Okay.
If they've had run-ins with them, they know anything more about them, strength, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Also, we want to get some details on how they crash engineered their technology.
Yeah,
I mean, if it doesn't tie into the Herc thing, is it like pseudo-Borg?
A pseudo-Borg, that was my
Mhm,
thinking.
mhm.
Because of the linking dream thing kind of was throwing up Borg flags in the player's head, possibly the Klingon's head as well.
Okay.
I was thinking more of an elven trance.
Maybe it's a little bit of both. Let's
Yeah.
find
Do
out.
we have elves in Star
I
Trek?
was just gonna say that the creature is just a block from the
Well,
but
yes.
that works too.
Okay. So let's actually handle that in character. You asked the first question of, what is your experience with the Herc? And 1 is going to answer. 1 is going to say, "The Herc were the second alien species we encountered. They were very violent and otherwise difficult to defeat. However, the technology we acquired from the first aliens," again, does not translate, "the first aliens' technology were able to save our alliance and save our people."
Can you describe anything about these first aliens? Do you have records of them? Our chief engineer Dagon here could potentially learn much from any information you can share.
One nods, and what they describe is almost like a capsule, almost like a pill capsule, where it's just kind of a little oval thing with caps on the end of it. And supposedly, if what one is saying, and maybe I'll do this a little bit in character, we discovered this capsule ship in one of our mountain ranges. And there were the building blocks of all 4 species of the Zidrak aboard. We believe that we are a perhaps science experiment, or perhaps some form of backup species.
Interesting. Or another.
Sorry, say again?
Or another species.
Or another species.
So they're the product of... Yeah, another species created them and spawned them on this a bit like a creator race. Or they're just spare parts for another race.
How disparate are the other species in your species?
Well, there are the aquatics, who, from what I understand, would resemble your blood whales on Kronos. There are the insectoids, which are not as much Herc as they are your something called a bloatfly. I do not know what a bloatfly looks like, but 2 assures me that you would know what a bloatfly is. And then there are the lesser of ours. And lesser is only to describe their stature. Their mental capabilities far exceed our own.
Now, that raises an interesting point. They're making like direct comparisons to things of ours, right? Is there anything in like Klingon, I guess, history or mythological stuff that somewhat resembles the Zidrak in the current form that we see them in?
No. And that was something that I made note of last session, just to make sure. Is there is no genetic link to the Klingons.
Okay,
they are a completely separate species.
Gotcha.
Unique.
But now let's talk about that second question, which, if I remember right, and feel free to correct me, you were curious.
Engineering,
yeah. So tell me a little bit about what you're after.
I'm just curious if they're willing, to give us some of the tech to Dagon, or tell us a bit more about it. Might be a good way to
just talk about it. Should be a good start, a good appetizer, since we're having a feast.
Right, exactly.
Okay. So 2 is the one that's going to answer this one as they're talking to Dagon, and 2 says, well, the progenitor race was able to provide us a template technology. We don't quite understand the inner workings of it. We are operating it very much based on a manual. We could not really fully replicate it. However, the bubble creates something called a subspace anchor, through which we are able to use a portal technology to fling our ships across great distances in limited amount of time. This is how we expand our empire.
Yep. Oh, that makes sense. I've heard of something similar.
If I remember correctly, and I must apologize, I am not an engineer, that the bubble ship is actually capable of providing the anchor to any point in space. The bubble ship merely needs to travel there on its own power.
Yep.
It just takes a while if it doesn't know where it is.
So it acts as a beacon for the gate, basically. It's like an anchor.
That is correct. Now, Dagon,
were we able to find out?
Real quick, Dagon, I'd like you to roll me an insight and engineering at a difficulty of 2.
Insight.
And I'm pretty sure you have a focus, but let me double check your sheet. Yeah, you definitely have a focus here in propulsion systems.
Just one?
Yeah, just you at least
Okay.
have that.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? I'm going to take a momentum for an extra dice.
Okay.
And then, let's see. Using focus, yes. 3. Roll dice.
4 successes, you're back up to
Nice.
6.
Nice.
Mhm.
If what 2 is saying is correct, Dagon, and this is just a wild theory, but if what they say is true and that they can traverse any distance in no matter of time, if you were to bring this bubble ship back to the Milky Way galaxy, theoretically, you could have instantaneous travel between Seg 1 and the Milky Way.
No long trips between the two, yeah.
Did they establish at all how fast the bubble ship goes?
So that was something that we covered last session, and that's perfectly okay. The bubble ship can only go about warp 3 at maximum.
Okay.
How big is it able to dock in the Honasto?
Oh, it is more than capable of
Yeah.
being slipped into the Honasto. The Honasto's
I mean,
massive.
So we could see it and slap it inside the Honasto.
No, but what we want is the technology, so we can reproduce the technology
Yeah.
and send somebody back to the Milky Way galaxy with the technology to build out there.
I
and
mean,
we can go from
Yeah,
there.
Papa needs a retrofit.
Right. We're already building the space station, right, by the Drin homeworld, right? So we could just send them back there to finish diplomatic talks with the Admiral and the Honasto.
We're getting way ahead of ourselves here. We don't have the technology yet. Let's work on building a friendship, get the technology.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
We can
Yeah.
go from there.
Yeah.
Well, let's get them to build it
Hand back over
themselves.
there.
Let's give them the
If
blueprints
they
for
can.
proper warp.
If
Oh,
they
yeah, that's
can,
true.
yeah.
Saying let's outsource
But like
it.
I
but
said,
that
let's
works.
get to know them before we, start making plans that are not feasible.
Yeah, I'm just saying we don't sign any of the diplomatic things, right? That's all. That's all.
No. We only mentioned the possibility of alliances, so we're good.
So far, they've said they were interested in an alliance, so let's work on that.
For now, let's maybe the best thing to do would be make sure that we've at least got proper long-range communication, so we can at least stay in touch as the talks go on. With the Drin, we've had the benefit of being face-to-face with them and in proximity with the Admiral. Now we can at least get the Entre-Nous going, have the end. I don't know. Hey, you know what? We brought on Dr. Whoever her name is. Do they want to send a passenger along?
Professor Hinden.
Professor Hinden, right.
So if I understand correctly, you're suggesting that Professor Hinden go with the Zidrak. Is that correct?
No, I'm saying, do we want to see if any of the Zidrak want to come with us?
Oh, okay. I understand now.
Yeah.
I mean,
we don't
if
have
they're
a
interested,
I'll just give
willing.
the notice of like, be not afraid. No, really, guys, be not afraid.
Yeah, be
We
not
don't have a
afraid to
treaty
watch your
yet.
head.
We don't have a treaty yet.
That's
though.
true.
Oh, well, agree.
Let's build
True.
some paperwork here.
Right.
Yeah,
would
you know what? They seem to trust us, so we don't need to have the whole mutual exchange of officers or whatever. Yeah.
Well, if we want to bring the admiral down, would we want to try to bring it at this point, or wait a little bit, or still hash some stuff out? The other question I had, and this might be more of like a mechanics thing, and I may have missed. I had to run to the bathroom. In the dream state, they said that was the exchange. I know we're communicating after. Was there anything imparted to us in particular that like we now woke up and like had like a deeper understanding or can speak their language? Like I just want to get a handle, like kind of as a player, like what was.
If you spend 2 momentum, we can create the advantage that actually, yes, anybody who is in the dream state can approximate the Zidrak language.
Okay, gotcha.
But just make sure you note that on your sheet if you want to spend the 2 momentum. In fact, I would make it a trait, like put it under your trait section of your character sheet and say like Zidrak's language or something like that.
Cool, yeah.
Zidrak speech, yeah.
I mean, for momentum, I think that's a pretty easy gimme because momentum. Yeah, let's do it. So everybody who is in there now understands Zidrak language. Cool.
Correct.
Sweet.
Thankfully, they can speak Klingon because otherwise I wouldn't understand a bloody word that's going on.
But yeah,
So the Zidrak should be getting the Zidrak should be getting the trait speaks Klingon.
Yep. So I'm still thinking about whether or not one of the Zidrak would come with you. I think what they're going to say is 2's going to be the one to speak, and 2 will say, "We are interested in learning more not only about your Klingons, but the Drin as well. It will take us some time to travel to your system with our ships. However, I am able to offer perhaps an honorable compromise. If you will allow us to harvest some of the Class D moons of the narrative system, we will build our own station here, our own gateway. And perhaps during the construction, we can exchange technologies and lift both of our people."
Absolutely nothing wrong can go here. This will be perfect. There will be no flaws, faults, unforeseen circumstances. 100%. I mean, did we actually need like anything from the Zidrak the moons of the system, or was it just we got indications? Let's go check it out.
So as a
Wasn't it
reminder,
Selenium?
yeah. So as a reminder, the Class Ds. There's 3 Class D moons. There's 1 Class M, where you are right now, and then there's a Class J gas giant and a G class star. The 3 Class D moons have dilithium, selenium, and all other sorts of wonderful exotic minerals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we will have to strike some kind of mutual agreement in the extraction of resources, but there is no stopping a proper agreement once it is enforced and agreed to.
Very good.
So let's not commit right now there that there's a higher authority we need to answer to.
In the end, we have the ear of the Admiral, and I hope that he would see the benefit of this type of alliance.
Of course.
Yes, well, that's what a treaty is for, is to determine what exchange of information is going to happen there.
But for now, we remain agreeable in principle, so long as the mutual extraction of resources is part of the agreement. Upon confirmation with our superior officers, of course.
Of course. And then real quick out of character, Kanas, can you remind me what your question was? It slipped my mind. What was your question about the Zidrak?
I forget.
Any Borgy shit?
What'd you say?
Was it about
Oh
Borgy
yeah, I was curious about the mechanisms behind the dream sync state, because me, player, was thinking immediately like a Borg hive mind sharing thing. So that's kind of what I was curious about, like the actual like mechanisms. Was it like very purely like bio waveform? Was it like tapping into another dimension? Like what the heck?
Okay. So 2 will happily explain. My understanding of the dream state is that my kind, the greater as we are known, we are able to synchronize the psychological emanations of species to create a shared dream state in a local area. Whenever we are not active aboard our vessels, a large amount of our crew are sharing the dream.
Oh, interesting. Okay, sure.
This is how we pass the time between large gaps of space, especially the bubble ships. The crew of the bubble ships tend to stay in the dream state until there is a necessity for them to leave it.
So brain holodecks, got it.
Yes, we are quite fascinated by your concept of holograms, bringing the dream state to reality.
At the same time, it acts as a stasis pod as well, too. So, Cool.
What about the fact that getting injured or killed in the dream state affects the physical body? That, if there's a way to medical or engineer that out, it might be helpful.
That, I believe, is a byproduct of bringing Klingons into the dream. We have not had this issue before.
Interesting.
We tend to bring a little bit of honorable chaos wherever we tread.
So does
Speaking
go
Speaking
ahead.
of honor, and 2 points at one of the targs, I am curious what that one tastes like.
Nice.
There is no better way to find out. Come, let us show you the fine art of targ slaughtering. Does anybody here have? Does this apply as like a cooking skill or what?
Well,
I
we
don't
could
think anybody
definitely invite
has-
the cook down.
Yeah, you could
We do
invite
have
the
a
main
cook on
home
ship,
cook
at least
down.
one. Yeah.
We gotta all be at least pseudo proficient at butchering a targ, right?
I mean, I would hope
Well,
so.
killing it for sure. Killing it
Killing
for
a
sure.
targ, yeah. Getting at the tasty bits, I don't know.
Noble houses usually have cooks, you know.
Mhm. Well, I think
Servants.
as you all decide what to do with the targ, I think that's where we'll end today's session
Nice.
for the time being.
Oh,
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. I was a little bit worried that it was just going to be Maury in the dream state for a while, and I was trying
Right.
really, really hard to be like, hey, bring the others in.
Yeah,
But I understand from a narrative aspect that one of you had to stay out. So thank you for being, that guinea pig for us, Kern. I appreciate it.
you're welcome.
I think it also tracked the most for your character. I think.
I think so. Yeah, I think that makes the
Yep.
most sense in terms of like, kind of that like logical, dare I say, mindset.
Rational, yeah.
Right. That we needed. We could not all just go batleth blazing into
Somebody had to watch your
Vainglory.
back.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. I was worried that I was like stealing the show, but I was like, I don't know. How do we turn this into just Klingon shit and kill off Maury or get him like knocked out so everybody else does something? It was more like, well, we're in Stovacor. There's only one thing to do in Stovacor: be Klingon.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think we did very well with it. So that's the good
I truly
news.
agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, Twitch, stick around because we're going to raid somebody, but YouTube, we'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Bye,
YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye.
YouTube.